must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Viewers, as you know, we have been at the forefront in the fight against the judiciary. We have stated time and time again that the judiciary in Kenya is the source of the weaknesses that we see that cannot fight the vice of corruption. Millions and millions of Kenyan shillings, billions, have been stolen, and those people have walked scot-free, leaving the courts smiling the following day. It is time, therefore, for President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta to take a further step to bite. We have talked quite a lot. We need to bite. His Excellency needs to bite. He needs to take a step further to bite, to bring about changes in the judiciary. The Kenyan judiciary is an embarrassment to the institutions, to the arms of governance. The type of errors that are made in the judiciary cannot encourage any ordinary whistleblower, like some of us who have stayed course in defending, upholding the principles of the Jubilee government. It is therefore worrying that time year in, year out, we have spoken about judiciary, the corruption, from the time of elections, from it being captured by external forces of George Soros, NGOs, and other institutions that want to dismember this country from every part of governance. Few months ago, a delegation of people went to Italy. They were encouraged to have quite a lot of companies coming to this country to invest. Little known to everybody in Kenya was that these companies were coming to invest, but companies that were investing in this country, coming as investors, were bankrupt companies that had already been declared person and a grantor in terms of economics of those countries. Someone resurrected the pipeline and the lifeline of eating billions of shillings out of a scam, purportedly going to make water, bring water to some arid areas of this country. Every time we talk about corruption, every suspect taken to Muthaiga on Kamata Day like this one mentions someone above. The people of Kenya have been wondering, who is this above? Can the DCI and the other institution tell us who is this above, who has mastered the art of eating everything and everybody, including vomiting on his shoes or her shoes? Is this person omnipotent? Is he God? People will be very happy, Your Excellency, if you did the Israel tactic of bombing the enemy and ending the war in 5 minutes. There comes a time when you take a step to release the fatigue and evaluate whether you are doing very well or you are doing very badly. Thank you very much, viewers. God bless you.
indeed, it is a very good morning to you, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. This 15th day of April 2019. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and indeed for joining us, because Dr. David Matanga will be coming in just a little bit later to join in the rest of the show. But this morning, I'll first take you through the African news stories and news that are making headlines in the continent this morning. But before that, these are some of the topics that some of the things that we'll be discussing throughout the show. And the first one is, do Kenyans trust their judiciary on the war against corruption? And is the Jubilee party falling apart? And on Diaspora Dispatches, we'll be looking at which way Mother Africa, looking at the recent events that have been happening across different countries in the continent. Then we'll be seeking to answer this question, which way Mother Africa depend in regards to what has been happening. We thank you so much for joining us. I am Miriam Ogutu, and of course the other news that are making headlines in the local news papers this morning in Kenya, and the Auditor General Ouko is set to clear a controversial Eurobond deal. This really raised a lot of hullabaloo a couple of years ago when the Eurobond, the government borrowed some of this money, and it was not very clear what it used to it. It was supposed to be for the improvement of infrastructure in the country. And there were debates over whether the money was used properly. And now the Auditor General has come out to say that actually it could be it was used properly. And now he's set to clear the controversial deal. And Kenyans are wondering, because that time the opposition seems to be the one who was really raising these red flags. But now after the handshake, could it be that the handshake has compromised even some of these investigations and some of these things? And so that is something that Dr. Matanga and I later on will be seeking to look at. But right now, as we wait for the doctor to come in, I'd like us to look at what's happening in Africa this morning. And we will start with Sudan, where the military council in charge of Sudan has asked activists to nominate an independent candidate for the position of prime minister in the transitional government. These are reports according to Al Jazeera News Network. Now, the portal's journalists covering the Sudan uprising confirmed on day 2 of military protester groups talks that the military said it was only interested in 2 security-related portfolios. And still in Sudan, Sudan's Transitional Military Council has arrested a member of the former government and promised not to disperse protesters. A spokesperson also urged the opposition to pick the next prime minister and vowed to implement their choice. Months of protest in Sudan led to the ouster and arrest of longtime leader Omar al-Bashir on Thursday, and demonstrators have vowed to stay on the streets until there is an immediate move to civilian rule. A sit-in is continuing outside the Defense Ministry in the capital, Khartoum. And in South Sudan, South Sudanese authorities have clarified that the country's airspace remained open and functional, contrary to reports that it was affected by the situation in neighboring Sudan. Sudan closed its airspace and all borders last week after long-serving President Omar al-Bashir was forced to resign under pressure from anti-government protests. And still in that country, and the 2 sides of war-ravaged South Sudan will not be able to meet a May 12th deadline to form a unity government because key requirements of a peace deal have not yet been met. Former rebel leader Riek Machar told Reuters on Friday. Machar, who would regain his post as vice president under the deal, said the government and the rebels needed another 6 months before forming a unity government. He spoke exclusively to Reuters in Rome after attending a 2-day retreat hosted by Pope with South Sudanese President Salva Kiir. Although few diplomats expected Kiir and Machar to meet the May 12th deadline set in last September's peace deal, the delay will cause further uneasiness among the 12 million strong South Sudanese population. And we go to Togo, where one demonstrator was killed in the north of Togo on Saturday during an opposition protest against presidential term limits. AFP and said local sources claimed that the victim was beaten to death by security forces. According to an eyewitness, the victim was arrested while they were marching. Faure Gnassingbe has been in power since 2005 after succeeding his father, who ruled Togo for 38 years. Another country in Africa where trouble seems to be brewing. And we go to Algeria, where Algerians continue to pile pressure on authorities to relinquish power. On Saturday, members of the Algerian Judiciary announced a boycott of the country's presidential elections scheduled for Thursday, July 4th. Human rights lawyers also expressed support to the judges for their decision. And in the DRC, the World Health Organization said on Friday that the outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo has killed more than 750 people, whose latest toll for the Ebola outbreak declared in eastern DRC last August came as the agency's International Health Regulations Emergency Committee was meeting in Geneva. In October, the committee held off declaring Ebola in DRC as a public health emergency of international concern, but has decided to review the situation amid a series of worrying developments. And still in Congo, President Felix Tshisekedi could be courting a political crisis as he seeks to consolidate his grip on power and shake off the influence of his predecessor, Joseph Kabila. The newly elected Democratic Republic of Congo president last week rejected Albert Yuma Mulumbi as Kabila's nominee for prime minister. Mr. Mulumbi, 64, is a prominent businessman and a chairperson of the Federation of Congo Employers. Kabila's party, the Common Front for the Congo FCC, through its secretariat, then wrote a letter reminding President Tshisekedi that he was responsible for the delays having constitutional institutions of governance in place, hinting at a constitutional crisis. And in South Africa, police in the South Africa country say they have arrested 2 people transporting 167 rhino horns believed to be destined for Asia. The police told AFP news agency it was one of the biggest ever hauls of a rhino horn in South Africa. The suspects were picked in Northwest Province in a car packed with rhino horns. They are due in court later on today. The horns can fetch up to $60,000 a kilogram in Asia, where they are used in traditional medicine. And we come to East Africa, and this time Tanzania has announced that it will ban single-use polythene bags from June in the war against plastic pollution. Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa told Parliament in Dodoma last week that the polythene bags will no longer be used for commercial purposes or household packaging, and warned producers and suppliers to dispose of their stocks. The Office of the Vice President will ensure the enforcement of the ban through regulations to be introduced under the Environment Law. And Uganda, the Electoral Commission says that now the electoral reforms roadmap it launched at the end of last year still lacks funds, and so it might miss deadlines as it had set. The Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, Kahinda Otafiire, told Parliament last week that the government is not ready to table the much-needed electoral reforms despite a deadline set by the Supreme Court expiring. Sources say NRM is holding on for as long as it can to benefit from the said time crisis that, for example, served the party's interest very well ahead of the 2016 polls. Every minute counts, and in a few months to the 2021 polls, the argument will be about insufficient time. Now, the bill is expected to seek the introduction of federal government's reinstatement of presidential term limits and a new method to appoint the Electoral Commission to ensure its independence. And we go to Ambazonia, where a head teacher in a government school in the Menchun Valley was at the weekend returned to his family after spending close to a week in captivity. Samson Keti was kidnapped by unidentified armed men on April 7th at the Ntasen neighborhood in Bamenda, northwest region of Cameroon. The 43-year-old was reportedly kidnapped on his way as he was returning to his family and kept close to 1 week before he was released. It is not clear if a ransom was paid, as kidnappings have become regular in the northwest region of Cameroon as the crisis in the part of the country continues to escalate. And we end with Botswana, where Botswana's Democratic Party has elected Mogetsi Masisi as its president at a special congress in Kang in Kadalgadi district. Masisi took over the country's leadership after being handpicked by former President Ian Khama when he left office in 2018. Masisi will stand for the presidential elections in October 2019. So that is the latest news coming to you across the continent this morning. Of course, a lot of new developments, especially in the Sudanese matter and the protest. And so we thank you so much for joining us this morning. Please continue to engage with us. We're present in both Facebook, on Twitter, and also on our YouTube channel. You can go there and you're live there. Thank you so much. All right, so we see Dr. Matanga will be coming in later, and these are just some of the topics that we'll be looking at when he joins me. And one of them is, do Kenyans trust the judiciary on the war against corruption? And also, is the Jubilee party falling apart? A lot of things happened, especially during the weekend, and we saw an exchange of words between the ruling party, Jubilee faction, and it's now clear that there are actually two fractions, one that is working together with the opposition, and the other one that is loyal to the Vice President, Mr. William Ruto. And so there's been a banter of words over the weekend and rallies and church services and things like that. And so it's very eminent and very clear now that the crack in the ruling party is continues to widen and continues to reach out. Even more members are now taking sides. So is the Jubilee party falling apart? And that is a question that Dr. Matanga will be answering later on when he joins. And also on Diaspora Dispatches, which way Mother Africa, with the recent developments and what is happening in Africa. And today, as I was going through the news, we saw even in Congo, not in Congo, but in Togo. Of course, Congo also has its own share of problems that hopefully will not escalate further. There seems to be a stalemate between President Tshisekedi and former President Joseph Kabila. Joseph Kabila, he literally has a hold of the country's systems right now. His party has the majority in governors, in senator, and also in parliament. So literally, there's nothing. He needs, President Tshisekedi needs to work together with the former president, Joseph Kabila, if at all he even wants to see some of these bills passed in parliament, or some of these, because parliament gets to say in a lot of these things. And so it's becoming very difficult for Tshisekedi right now. And so, because Kabila's party has the majority, so it is mandated by the DRC's constitution that they give the prime minister that the position reserved to them, because they have the majority in parliament. But the person that former President Kabila proposed, Tshisekedi was not agreeing to that, and so that is a stalemate. And of course, the former president wrote to Tshisekedi, and he said that he will be responsible for the delays in having constitutional institutions of governance in place, and hinting at a constitutional crisis. In other words, what former President Joseph Kabila is telling now the current President Tshisekedi is like, you know what, my pick, I don't think I'm going to change him. And his name is Mr. Mulumbi. He's 64 years old, and he's a prominent businessman and a chairperson of the Federation of Congo Employers. So he's quite a known person in Congo, and so he's telling the current sitting President Tshisekedi that that is my choice, and in case you don't accept him, that it will be in your hands. You're going to delay, and you're going to have a constitutional crisis if you don't accept my nomination for the Prime Minister's post. So that is a stalemate that President Felix Tshisekedi finds himself in. So back to Togo, and we see over the weekend, an opposition protest against, there were protests in Togo against presidential term limits, and one person died. And the president now, Faure Gnassingbe, has been in power since 2005. And before that, his father had ruled Congo for 38 years. So after that, he succeeded his father. And the same is the case with Gabon. Ali Bongo, his father, Omar Bongo, had led for 41 years, and now Bongo has led Gabon for 10 years. So together, the Bongo family, have led Gabon for 51 years. And I think these are just some of the countries in Africa that, the citizens' patience is running out. And you can see also in Togo now, it's beginning to gather momentum. And so these are events that we'll be watching very closely, and we'll be bringing you the updates as we continue to get them. So his father led Togo for 38 years, and he's been there for since 2005. That means he's been there for about 13 years. So that's a lot. So there have been some protest by the opposition because they want term limits. So the constitution as it is in Togo right now, there are no presidential term limits, and I think that is the same quagmire that Uganda finds itself in. And I will look at that, and also I think when Dr. Matanga comes in, we will look at that, and we'll see what that will mean. And so, Nwabuife Debere Vincent, you're saying good morning, Miriam. You're watching from Nottingham, UK, and you're waiting for Pastor David. David who? I don't know who that is. Oh, no, David Matanga. Okay, he'll be joining shortly, so keep watching. I think he'll be here, and we'll look at some of those topics when he joins. I'm just going through the news making headlines in Africa this morning, and in case where you are, you know, anything that is happening that our viewers may be interested to hear about or to get the information, please you can always type on the comment section, and I'll be happy to share with the rest of our viewers across the world. So we see also in Sudan, not so much development from over the weekend, but of course the military council in charge of Sudan has asked now activists to nominate an independent candidate for the position of prime minister in the transitional government. Look at that. So the new leader now has realized he has to give in to the protests demands. Because remember, the one that was that took over immediately after the ousting of President Omar al-Bashir came in, and whatever announcements he made was not very much welcomed by the people. When he said, you know, the military will be in transition, will take over, and will be there for 2 years, and the curfew introduced, and a few other things that really angered the protesters. And at that point, Sudanese didn't even know whether they need to celebrate that Omar Bashir is out, or these new rules that have been brought were really starting to give them anxiety. So that didn't sit well with the protesters, so they continued to protest until the guy left, and now a new person came in. And so the Sudan Transitional Military Council now, they've gone out to arrest members of the former government and promised not to disperse protesters. So he realized you can't get rid of the people. The people will have to get their demands for them to leave the streets of Khartoum and, of course, other cities and towns across Sudan. So he said that the protesters can continue with their protest, and he said also that, you know, the activists will nominate an independent candidate for the position of prime minister in the transitional government. And I think, is it yesterday? I'm not quite sure. But also, now the army will not be there for the 2 years, for the transitional 2 years, that said. So it has been reduced for a few months now. I will confirm that, and I will let you know. So that is what is happening right now as a situation in Sudan this morning. Paul Kaig, saying you're watching from Brisbane in Australia. The People's Revolution demanding the military council to step down because they are from Congress Islamic Party. Very much true, and I think that is the problem they had, even with the army guy that took over immediately after the ousting of Bashir. And they said, no, first of all, this guy worked so much and is much loyal to Bashir, so this is just a cloned Bashir. So they refused for the guy, and it's good that he heeded for what the protesters were saying, and he stepped down. And this new guy doesn't have to have much choice, so he's dancing to the tune of the protesters and what the Sudanese people want. And that is the same case even in Algeria. You would think after President Bouteflika resigned, the people go back to their homes, but no. And they're still out there in the streets protesting. And of course, now Algerians continue to pile pressure to authorities to relinquish power. They do not want, because the person that now is in charge is now the former House Speaker, and he was a very close ally to former President Bouteflika, and they're saying, we don't want him there, so they want a different person. And of course, the elections already have been scheduled for July 4th. Remember, before Bouteflika resigned, the elections were supposed to happen on April 18th, just a few days from today. I think the elections were supposed to happen. And after he insisted on running for a 5th term, and after that was thwarted, now the elections have been pushed for July 4th, and on Saturday, members of the Algerian Judiciary announced a boycott of the country's presidential elections that has been scheduled for July 4th. And of course, the human rights lawyers also expressed support to the judges for their decision. They're saying this person that is in charge right now, we don't think that he should be there. And so they're demanding for more. So they're also stuck in the streets and they're not going back. I don't know if there's been work being done in Algeria since this protest starts. And that is the same case with Sudan. And I think this has just proved that, people's power, you cannot wish that away. Actually, it's very powerful. And I think Africans just realizing that, you have the power because we are the people who vote and put these people in places. So if we really actually refuse, and if we really demand for better, then we can get that. And we can see that in the case of Sudan and Algeria. And now, Mathon Wekiel, you're asking, any updates there in South Sudan? Oh, well, I just read a few a while ago, but I can repeat it. Thank you for joining me. Seems like you just joined me, but that's okay. I can just go through quickly the latest update in South Sudan. And of course, the two sides of war-ravaged South Sudan will not be able to meet the May deadline. Remember, Machar was supposed to return to Juba in May, before May 12th, for the deadline to form a unity government. But now Machar actually himself, in an interview on Friday, said the two sides, they cannot meet the 12th deadline for the unity government because key requirements of a peace deal have not been met yet. And he said also that who should regain, he's supposed to come back and regain his post as the vice president. He said the government and the rebels needed another 6 months before forming a unity government. So there you are. That is, I don't know how this will work. Mathon Wekiel, please let me know your thoughts about this. Machar says it will take another 6 months to put structures in place so that he can come back and the peace deal can actually be implemented. I don't know what this 6 months will mean for the people of South Sudan because after the peace deal was signed last year, September 12th, I believe, he went back to Khartoum. He's been in Khartoum. So I'm just wondering here, as just a pedestrian thought, from September to now in April, what has been happening? Have there been any progress? Have there been any talks? Have there been any genuine efforts to try to even work on the peace deal? And I think nothing much was being done, and maybe that must have prompted the Pope to intervene. Remember, they just were in the Vatican, and I believe Machar is still there. I'm not sure if Riek is still there, and Salva Kiir is still there, the president. But Machar, I think, is still in Rome. And now from Rome, he gave an interview on Friday, and he said, the peace deal that was supposed to be the deadline, which was in May 12th, to form a unity government, that is not going to happen, and is now asking for 6 months. And I think they had a conversation with the president, Salva Kiir, and they agreed. I don't know if they agreed, but yes, those were his thoughts, and I think they talked about it. And so that leaves the South Sudanese population in a jeopardy, because I believe they were really looking forward to this deadline to be met and the peace deal to be implemented and the unity government to be formed so that they can actually resume their normalcy and start rebuilding their country. So it's I really don't understand. I really don't understand. The matter of South Sudan, really, sometimes it's very dicey. Mathon, you're saying again, the leaders of South Sudan let Pope Francis down again. Look at that. My thoughts exactly. And I'm sure a lot of South Sudanese are not going to be happy with this. Paul Kagi, you're saying the revolutionary in Sudan will not end there. The waves will be moving beyond Sudanese boundaries. And Miriam and Dr. Matanga and the crews at Punchline, thank you so much. So, thank you so much. I think Dr. Matsang will be joining me just in a little bit. And QV Safari, you're saying you're watching from LA, Los Angeles in the United States of America. And you're saying South Sudan youth should not let up. Baduma Pambano. Okay, that sounds very Kenyan, but hey, thank you. Thank you so much. And also the electoral reforms in Uganda. It looks like it will miss the deadline once again, as it did in 2016. And of course, Why would the NRM wants to change the status quo? It's working for them as it is, though it's causing a lot of jitter in other quarters. So that is something also Dr. Matsanga will be looking at when he joins. So right now, I'd like to take a very short break. And Michael, nice, you're saying you're watching me all the way from New Zealand. So I'll take a very short break, and Dr. Matsanga will join me, and I'll see you in the other side of the break. Please don't go too far. Good morning, Africa. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Good Morning Africa. I am Miriam Ogutu, and we're coming to you all the way from the Kenya's capital in Nairobi. And now I'm joined by Dr. David Matsanga. Karibu, Daktari.
Thank you very much. I was listening to you while I was in another studio.
Okay.
Enjoyed it. You did the best analysis this morning.
Thank you.
Right from Botswana, I've picked everything. It is here.
You did the news?
Oh no, yours.
Okay.
I pick everything. That is why when you have a person of my stature, you are safe. You are under my armpit. I will help. No, not that armpit.
Under your wings.
No, under the guidance.
Yes.
Can we use that word?
That is proper.
Now, thank you very much. You look smart. And this is for the Monday.
Yes.
At least I have come. There is something that I had wanted to bring in. I think I will ask Jeff to bring it in. My present that I received from Khartoum. Mm-hmm. Yes. The only African leader who gave me an honor, mm-hmm. and therefore I wanted to show it.
Who gave you the former president?
Bashir, yes.
You really are mourning this guy.
Yes, I'm not mourning.
The departure
but
of this guy.
Fred will bring it. The African, there is no other African who has ever given me this. Yeah. All these Africans, I do a lot of things for them, mm-hmm. but they don't honor me. But I give credit where it is due. Mm-hmm. Bashir honored us. Bashir honored me, together with my friend Dr. Ojwang, mm-hmm. for standing up for Africa, Pan-African Conference. He gave me the thing and I have to show the world. Mm-hmm. So that is very good. But before we go there, when we reach Africa, is when I will bring in this. Okay. There are lots of things that you have said this morning.
Yes.
Let me take my take on the Judiciary of Kenya.
Yes.
My take. Mm-hmm. The judiciary in Kenya has lost it. President Uhuru Kenyatta said, you can go to the judiciary, bring evidence. But Your Excellency, where do we take the evidence when the same judiciary is corrupt? For example, this from very early in the morning, I commissioned an opinion poll, a random opinion. I wanted to know how many people in Kenya randomly, from wherever you are, what do you say about the judiciary? 97.7 participants in this poll said no to the treasury, to the judiciary. 97.7. 97.7 said no. They don't want the judiciary. I asked whether judiciary can help to fight corruption. The question was very simple, because at times people think we fabricate things. We don't. We are always children of God, and we do these things with the guidance of God. And I don't know why Kenyan MPs are fighting so hard, to have bodyguards. You better not have bodyguards if you are, no, have bodyguards if you are going to live. If you are an MP for the people, why do you need bodyguards? Because you are working within the people themselves. So it is very, very serious for people to understand. But I commissioned something here this morning, Miriam. It brought me a very serious joy. And I don't know. It is something that shook me. I'm not surprised, because people said what their views were. That is about Jubilee. I want to see what I commissioned this morning. So in essence, Miriam, what I was saying is, do Kenyans have trust in their judiciary? The answer was simply yes or no. I did not add. That is how to frame an opinion poll of a referendum. Don't add there things that you don't know. That's why if there is a contest, which question will be put on the referendum? So do Kenyans have faith in their judiciary? 97.7 of respondents said no. They don't have. They said no. They said no. Even some of them added very bad, they said, please, they just wish it was dissolved like now. The opinion was, do Kenyans trust their judiciary on the war against corruption? Yes or no? It started about 4 hours in the morning. The answer, the percentage is 97.7%. Only 2 people said yes, if it is a small man corruption like the guy who was jailed for trying to bribe an NTSA officer and a cop, he can agree. To just Chief Magistrate Ogoti, he can agree if they have those. Another one said, judiciary is Uhuru and Uhuru is judiciary. We are now saying exactly what people were saying. Another one said, Matanga David, if you really mean good for humanity, as you claim, I would have preferred that one was political. We put it as a percentage that remained. And the rest, no. Should you know, our judiciary is high. Even used Isakam. What did that come mean? you know the word called Isakam?
It's used as?
Isakam.
Or is a scam? Our judiciary.
Oh, he says it is a scam.
They now put the same
words together. Next time when you write, separate them.
It's a scam.
Very many people, over 1,000 people.
Yes.
People say no. 97% of the Kenyans this morning from about 6 o'clock to now did not approve of the Treasury, of the Judiciary. So it is upon you Kenyans. My role is only to do what I'm supposed to do. It is to bring you the information, to be the person near your you have a right to say what you want to say and what you need to say. Yes. I can see John Philip. I don't know what he has said before I proceed.
No, it's. I think it's trying to understand the situation in Sudan. I think, as I was reporting,
John Philip said, "You have a right, sister, to give your land some else, your trees, someone else, your grasses, someone else, your family, someone else, your oil." Someone else's piece is good, but inside your name don't need.
I can't even understand that. I think from what he's responding to is what the protesters in Sudan were saying. No, the army officer initially that was given the interior minister, they said no, this is just Bashir. There's no difference. So you can give whatever and make. Whatever he's saying, you can give your trees, you can give, but it's still the same name. You're still the same person. You work for the same administration. So this is what I'm gathering from what John Philip. Please be a little clear next time.
No, when we come to the second phase,
we'll talk about that.
He's going to get the answer nicely. I've got it.
Okay.
I've got everything. Facts with my correspondent in Khartoum, not a small street man, but he's within the system.
Dr. Al-Mukhtar.
Oh yes, he's now supposed to be part of the people, part of the system. So let's don't worry about that. Let's finish the judiciary in Kenya. Sincerely speaking, Miriam, we have a problem. The president told us, go to the Treasury, to the Judiciary. Take your complaints with evidence. Don't become a vigilante. So many people are very upset with that word, though. I am the only one who is not upset, Mr. President. I'm not upset because I will never get upset with a friend like you. You are my friend. I will always, whatever you say, whether it's right or wrong, I will always stick by friendship. But people were discouraged. People were really discouraged by the word vigilantes. Newspapers were told vigilantes. Newspapers were told you print narratives. So people pulled back. And you can notice that in the last week since the presidential, people pulled back. I have not pulled back. I'm still on it. I'm still helping. I'm still saying that judiciary is the worst enemy of this country. If you don't get them, if you don't get Maraga, take him out. Let him go and do something else. Let him resign. Let him go and lecture in the University of Nairobi law, like Mutunga is doing. He can do it better, learn a bit and get another degree. You have brought someone very low caliber in this thing. I'm telling you the truth. He's incompetent. He can't manage the court. Walai. He can't. Look, you can't arrest anybody there. You take somebody there. Where is the governor of Samburu now? Where is the governor of Samburu? Where is he gone?
He was out on bail.
Yes, gone.
But I think the case is still in.
You can't sit down with Maraga. The Chief Justice should have sat down with his judges and said, okay, there is a state of emergency here on corruption. Why did you slam this man 150 million? What did you see? Which just Mumbi did not see. And bring about quiet things. We don't want to say we interfere with them, but they should sit behind the scenes, not to harass civilians who are already dead. These Kenyans, most of them are working, I swear. Some of them don't have even fare to go to school, to take their children to school. They don't have anything. These Kenyans you see. Just walk out of your car and walk the street of Kenyatta from up, if you have been anyone seen on TV. Don't call yourself whatever celebrity, because some people might think we are not celebrities. We might not be celebrities in Kenya, but some countries respect us for our stand. But just walk from New Stanley up to GPO. The number of people asking you for money, and not a lot of money.
Lunch money.
Yes.
Bus fare.
Very well-dressed gentlemen.
Yes.
Asking you for money. I'm telling you, if I'm wrong, let God help me. But what does that indicate to you? What does it indicate to you? The number of businesses closing down. The number of employers are not able to meet the obligations. Most of us are struggling with employers. You have to look for money to pay. If you have employees, if you have money, you have to struggle so hard. The number of liquidation, the number of auctioneers, the number of things coming. People are, you know, the situation is growing into a magnitude because of corruption. The money is being eaten by a few individuals. And we have no direction on how we are going to fight and end this corruption. We are all the time in this country, there is something, creating something, to create something, to create another thing. We have that long journey, Miriam. From Stanley to GPO, all what you need is to change 3,000 shillings if you want to be all right. Because if you have a heart like some of us, someone comes to you in a tie, he says, David, please, sir, even when he has not seen you, oh, are you Dr. Matsanga? Yes, please. Not because you have the money. I'm not a bank manager. Neither do I work in the bank. Neither am I in Joroke. I don't even know how he looks like. I also see me on TV. But they stop you. And you look at people. You look at a woman telling you a story. She stands and says, please, I've not eaten. I've just taken my child to hospital and I have a problem. She's not a beggar, but she's a normal Kenyan. So if you look at that amount and you do the sampling, that's why now I can agree why MPs need more bodyguards. Yeah.
To protect them from the constitution.
Can I tell you there is no bodyguard in Britain? No member of parliament has a bodyguard. Even in Zimbabwe. Even in Zimbabwe, poor as it is, a member of parliament in Zimbabwe does not have a bodyguard.
So
where did we get this notion that we should have 2 policemen? Because we steal from people. The deals we are doing are theft. There's plenty of theft here that you fear. If you are walking alone, someone will come and say, my friend, this is what I want my money. So the people will fear the bodyguards. But if you don't have anybody you have taken money from, why do you fear? Why do you need the bodyguards in your own constituency? A country like Zimbabwe, which has hardship, serious economic hardship, no MP has. Why don't we train MPs to have their own pistols? Yes. Why can the government think of a scheme of training all members of parliament to be equipped security-wise, to cut down the bill that we pay for each MP to have a bodyguard? For what? What is this? Have we created the barracks countrywide? Have you created barracks countrywide? It all stems from corruption. Corruption has become a disease, and it has gone 7 heads everywhere. When you look at the number of people agitating for bodyguards, complaining over the whole rally, the whole weekend, my bodyguards were taken. What is that you are done wrong? Maybe the government is reorganizing better ones for you. Why don't you wait? I'm just suggesting, Miriam, corruption cannot be tamed by the current status of the judiciary. Therefore, 97.7% of Kenyans, wherever they are, sampled from 6 o'clock in the morning to 11, they have said the judges are no good. In fact, some of them recommended no revamp, no take out all of them, radical surgery, remove them, because they say they are fed up with the type of
the judicial leaders we have right now. Okay.
Number 2, I wanted to comment on the Jubilee.
The party.
Yeah, is the Jubilee party falling apart? Yes. And time has come for people to stand up.
Is it falling
apart? No. Yes.
Or has it fallen completely?
Yes, can I tell you now?
Yes.
Listen to this.
Yes.
Me, I don't want to hide. Hiding is not in Matanga. I give wisdom. If people want to take it, take it. If you don't want to take it, don't take it. But let me tell you the facts. It is. If we go the rate we are going now, if we apply Amalinze the cat strategy, if we apply juvenile type of psychophancy, which is at the center of this great party that people had molded from so many parties, if we do that, we are dead. It is true. There is no need of us lying to each other that things are not are working well. Mama, no.
Things are falling apart in the ruling party, Jubilee, and I was watching the news over the weekend, and you could tell very much so. It's like the team that is aligned to the president has joined together with the opposition, and the team that is aligned to the deputy president, they're very, and they were really throwing jabs. And of course, what the court boss said is still raising a lot of tension, and the part that is allied to the vice president are not very happy about it. Even the vice president himself talked about it over the weekend, whatever Atwoli said a few days ago.
And because of that, I am honest. And that Kenya, like I was honest on ICC. I was honest on so many things here. If you go back to my clips, Miriam, you will find my honesty on many facts that have come to pass. And I want to take this opportunity to thank myself, because Kenyans might not thank me. I thank myself for being I am. You hate me, I am not bothered. You will not kill my children. They have grown. They will also fight like any other person. So you can hate me. Let me tell you the truth. What is happening here in the politics of Kenya? There is an African proverb. For a tree to grow, it must shed off some leaves. For Jubilee to grow, it must get rid of some destructive elements within its inner sanctums. I've used the best English. Sanctums. Sanctums. If you know. If you don't know English, look for a dictionary. There is a juvenile mob hysteria syndrome operating at the center of this party called Jubilee I love so much. Is my friend, they are my friends. There is that inner, mark the words. There is a juvenile mob hysteria syndrome. Juvenile mob hysteria syndrome. Anybody who has studied political science like me, I'm not going to pretend here. If you want to challenge me, let's go for an exam. If you pass, I will pass higher. There is something wrong here. is a syndrome, mob hysteria, juvenile. Some people who have just arrived in this formation, in this party, juvenile psychophants. And listen to this one. You love me for being an African. Operating within the party, the Amarinze, the cat syndrome. You remember Amarinze and the things fall apart. Where Amarinze was the man that is all the 7 clans of Umofia feared. Huh? Amarinze the cat syndrome. Umeona? Iko hapa this party. Yes. It seems to have arrived in the ruling party in Kenya. Therefore, there is need for a mature wisdom-wise. Mature wisdom must now prevail to stop the disintegration. End quote. Dr. Matsanga. That's me. It's not from the books, it's from me. From what I read, Shakespeare, Julius Caesar. Dad, talk to me. Talk to me. I've told you that those 3 things, the mob hysteria, juvenile mob hysteria syndrome, and the other one, very clear, the first one being destructive elements, meet at the center of it. The inner sanctums. What is happening to the inner sanctums of Jubilee Party? We are drowning. If you look at the MPs sending barbs against the same party, other members of theirs, don't you call this madness?
Yes, and Moses Chumbe is saying that this integration of Jubilee Party is being spearheaded by Raila and no one else. What's your thoughts on that?
Raila is a member of ODM.
Was there a problem by the time
Let
Raila
me,
the handshake?
there is this excuse of Raila. Raila is doing what? Why you members of the party cannot rise up? We are your friends. I'm not a voter. I'm not a member. But I have over 20 shirts here of Uhuru and Jubilee in my wardrobe. Not poor Lenin. The best Lenin. I've kept it. Okay? I support. I have t-shirts here. I have a group called Uhuru Vote Hunters. A powerful group in this country. That I can raise it today by a stroke of a post. And it will come. Now we are watching this. We want to help the president to restore sanity, to remove apathy. Why have you caused the apathy to your own president? I'm asking. Why? Why have we caused the apathy to President Uhuru Kenyatta? The state of despondency to your own president, the commander-in-chief. If you are a commander-in-chief, you must be listened to by your subordinates. The subordinates must take your orders. But the way you are seeing this now, Miriam, are there orders being taken? Are there orders being taken in Kenya?
And the president came out also over the weekend and gave a warning to the politicking to stop. And I think he's been saying this for a very long time. Nobody's listening, really.
They don't listen.
Yes.
If you're a commander of an army, and each battalion commander, or barracks commander, or platoon commander sends out a different message from the high command. The high command is on the direction on the enemy. And the different messages are going. You know, I'm talking from a military point of view. Because if you come here to make me, even if you have to shoot me and say, if you don't do the drill, we shall shoot you. I will do the drill up to the last moment. Look at me. I'll do the drill. If you brought me an AK-47, I will open it, put it back in the time that is internationally recognized. Because I've been disciplined. have been in a disciplined format. Now, if your commander has said no campaigns, no funeral pronouncements, what do? As soon as you sneak out of the meeting, you are on the funeral.
And church services. Now.
Church. There is something very interesting, and I want Kenyans and those viewers watching me. Do you know that in Kenya now, the richest thing on planet Earth is the church mouse? Ask me to explain.
There you go.
Church mouse. The church mouse, you know why the English people said, don't be poor as the church mouse.
Yes.
But in Kenya, the church mouse is the richest. And I believe God is going to use it for last day judgment, when it will be telling the truth where this money was pouring from. Whereas in Britain and other churches where religion started from, the Vatican, even the Vatican watches Pope when this money in the bank. You know, Vatican is one of the richest institutions in the world. The church mouse is never rich. But in Kenya, the church mouse is very rich. You see what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think you won't ask any questions because you know it. The church mouse is rich.
It is unfortunate because a long time ago, church was not a place you were taking politics. You're just going visit.
I'm wondering how
churches collude
the church. Yesterday, I saw some pastors, pastors people laughing in the church, and I believe this is my Anglican church, because my Anglican church is purely red. I am going to check this church where one group of politicians were
over the weekend.
Yes, okay. They laughed. The bishop and the pastor and the clergy behind were laughing because the politician.
When they were making some of these comments.
Exactly.
That's very wrong.
I was very embarrassed.
It's
I hope it is not the Anglican church.
No.
If it is or Sapit, if that church, I want to know the church where some members of parliament were yesterday. Bring the clips. The clips, we shall look at the clips further, 2 of them, all sides. I want to see this church where the clergy were laughing, yet the comments that are being made are insightful. Are insightful.
The church is slowly losing its place. You know, like a place like South Sudan, also church is very powerful.
It went.
The DRC.
I saw you were grappling. You didn't grapple, but you answered very well. You needed my hand here to tell you what happened in South Sudan. You did. It is another fiasco.
Yes.
When you tell me, I told you. I wanted to jump and come here and I said, Miriam, I told you. I told you, my sister.
6 months.
Here.
6 months.
I told you.
It will not be immediately after the visit to Vatican.
Didn't I tell you that this won't happen?
But now, Dr. Matanga, now that we've like jumped into the DIASPORA Dispatches,
hold it.
And then we'll take a break and then you'll
Let's
come back.
finish.
Yes.
Let's finish this. The disintegrating party. The party needs to remold itself for national cohesion, national unity. Raila is not breaking this party. This party is breaking itself.
It was sort of
because of those 3 syndromes. The juvenile, Amarinze, and another one that I mentioned here a few minutes ago. Mob hysteria, the reaching of people. Do you want to release Jesus or Barabbas? Remember, we Christians are in the period of Lent. Do you want Jesus or Barabbas? Pontius Pilate said, let emerge. Bring the water. That's why water is a symbol of faith. Bring the water. I wash my hands off. I also want to be Pontius Pilate. Because we are now heading towards, it's only a few days before Judas Iscariot
betrays
Jesus.
Yes.
We're starting from today up to Thursday.
With a kiss.
Where there will be a kiss.
Pope gave one on the feet.
Yes. That is where we are. Bring it.
Yes.
I also want to wash my hands on some things.
Like what now?
Mob hysteria has taken the center stage in Jubilee Party. People want to reach. Apathy has come in. They have created apathy against the president. They have created a state of a very terrible state. What can I describe it? A very terrible state of apathy. You write something good about President Kenyatta. My God. Just write the name on your Facebook that His Excellency President Kenyatta is doing very well. Within it, they paid up blockers from another section of Jubilee. They come for you. They say, look at this fat man, tall man, big man, white man, fat, go back to your country. Whoa! So they scare you, but unfortunately for me, I'm a Pan-African, I'm never scared. I'm never scared. Whether here or London or South Africa or Zimbabwe, I have never been scared. Whether African Union, look at Matanga, whether The Hague, this man here, you will never scare me. I used to go to Ocampo inside The Hague, and yet outside I was calling him a stupid man. He never did anything, he will never do anything to me. You can insult me and assault me and do whatever you want to do, but you will never defeat me. You are useless. Yeah, you are useless, honestly. Because if you go on insulting me, when I'm telling you, it is not Raila who is breaking the party.
The party was kind of a little...
Itself is breaking.
It was cracking before Raila came.
Yes, Raila is not breaking the party. You can't accuse Raila of breaking Jubilee Party. No.
His presence just exposed the underbelly of...
Yes, I cannot say a lie that Raila found this party going. It was already... Because in the party of Jubilee, we have two categories. Do you want me to say it?
Go ahead.
Thieves.
Okay.
And then non-thieves.
Thieves and non-thieves.
Yes.
Okay.
Cartels in the party. And we have to be honest. There are people who are wheel dealers and non-wheel dealers. The innocent ones, MPs, can be seen. They walk on foot. They have their shoes, they pay, they do their CDF. The rich ones fly in helicopter, polluting this air. Soon we must put regulations on the air because the helicopters will knock each other. Those are the two parties you have here. Two directions you have here, I swear. Not Raila. Raila has not come to divide this party. The people who are saying Raila have real hatred for Raila. I can see now. By the way, I've discovered something. Do I tell you here? Should I say it on national TV, Miriam? It's your show.
Is it tasteful? You can say it.
Yes.
Okay.
I've discovered there are some people who really hate Raila. Yes. And I want to say it. I did not expect Alice Wahome to speak the way she spoke. I'm not happy. There are some people who have real, tribal chauvinism. Mambo imejaa. Wapendi, me, I was one of the chief critics of Raila. And I've known the Prime Minister Raila since 1982. Not yesterday. Not yesterday. Some of these MPs were not even born. Baraza was not born. Baraza was a toddler. I was already working. not in a clerical office, but a presidential PA running with the president, the whole world. One of the supermen of Pan-Africanism. Yes, yes. You can't say I wasn't, because you are not my mother, you didn't produce me. It's only my mother who can say he's telling a lie, he wasn't there. Because anybody else is useless to me. Who can tell me I was not there? I was working. 1982, I was in service. That's the first time we met Raila Odinga with my friend who is here. He's still alive, although sickly. Don't think I don't know. So we know Mzee Raila for a long time. My disagreement with Mzee Raila was very simple. He did not guide this younger man. We disagreed also, he relied too much on Kofi Annan. I hated Kofi Annan. Sorry.
You don't speak ill of the dead.
Dead, yeah. It might come back to haunt him.
Yes.
Don't come back. In fact, go permanently. I have no happiness for Kofi Annan, for what he has done to many African countries, for taking an envelope, hiding an envelope, opening it somewhere else, when the African Union gave you the mandate to open the envelope in Addis Ababa. You Kenyans, listen to me. No foreign minister at that time, Wetangula, did not fight for this envelope. Wetangula was also an accomplice of these guys to be jailed. Nani, the late Mutula, was also an accomplice. He wanted these guys jailed. In fact, if you one of these days, they don't know. I know all these things. They were accomplices. They wanted these two guys to go in order to have space. Why do you kill others to have space? Surely there's enough space in Kenya. Even we have not taken one forest of Mara. 1 acre, you can, if you want to stay in Kenya, you can go and stay with those animals in Mara and leave a Kenyan to stay without taking him to the egg. This is my reasoning. And let President Uhuru and the deputy listen to me. There were people who wanted to swallow you, and they could swallow you again. Be careful. They could swallow you. You will need another man. I might not be here, but you might need more of me to help. And you have forgotten that where we came from, you are drumming up fight, chaos, allowing these MPs take away the microphone. If you respect your commander-in-chief, if you hear somebody talking Uhuru, take away the microphone. Tell him, no, I did not come to this rally to discuss the president. I came here to open a function. That's how governments work, Jamen. But do we see that? Do you blame Raila for that? Atwoli, another man whose opinion, he has his workers. If you can't touch him properly, he gives you the workers to his vote. He was making a, I looked at Atwoli's statement. Again, he did not mean that he's not God to say the money will not be there. He said technicalities might arise. Technicalities. But now people ran very fast to interpret the Atwoli statement that Atwoli wants to kill the DP. Have you seen how low, shallow we are?
It has taken a new turn.
Yeah, how shallow we are. Atwoli said, yes, Orengo is on record. Murathe is on record. Having said they will go to court.
To challenge.
Yes, how do you, why don't you, if I was a strategist advising the deputy president or the president, I would just now look at that gap of the mouth what are they saying? This one is saying, I might not be on it. This one is saying, I will impeach you. This one is saying, I will go to Supreme Court. So, the future of Supreme Court is not also known. So, if I was the one advising, an advisor, spin doctor, then the subject I did very well. I would look through all that and advise my candidate that be careful. This could be a trick. Because you are caught up in catch-22. It might not be death, but technically they could knock you out.
Through a constitutional
way. That's the end of it. Will you create another Kenya? You can't. So do the right things. Help the president to win the support of the people without the people going to other methods to find a way to finish you. I think you agree with me on that. If you help the president, you would not be harassed at all. But you are now allowing the president to be belittled. There is a woman from Nyandarua, is it Laikipia? When she opens her mouth, my God, whoa. Where are we heading, Jamen? It looks like a motor machine. What is all this? Then you add on, if you add a trolley, you add that woman, you add the MP for Bahati.
Sudi came up yesterday, I heard him speak.
And then Mr. Sudi, you added them. Sudi is my friend. For me, Sudi, I don't worry.
And he was not very happy about Atwoli's sentiments.
Yes. No, but Sudi is my friend. When he meets me, he will never harass me because he knows I am a truthful man to my bottom of my bones. He knows I will stand by the truth and do it. Say it. If I stand by Ruto in the ICC, I stood and I never, I did not know that Moses Kuria had brought witnesses. Had I known, I would have pushed Moses Kuria out of the Hague. Because he used even to go to come with me in the Hague. Have you seen? I am the one who is fighting the ICC, is the one who brought witnesses. Have you seen where my name has been spoiled? That the DP thinks I knew, which I did not know.
But they're not buddies, Kuria and DP. The same.
And he welcomed this man, even gave him millions. He was poor as a church mouse. I am telling you. Have you now seen my knowledge of church mouse?
Yes, one of our viewers here really wanted to understand the analogy of church mouse.
Yes, church mouse, begging for lunch in Intercontinental, where here the girl watcher. Look, the guy became the hero. You who was fighting for these guys to be saved, I became the villain now being vilified everywhere. A man has not even come to say thank you to me. Can you imagine? And he goes around to say he's worth it. Not me. I'm also a proud Mugisu.
Okay.
And tall, 6 feet. I don't care. I've got my children also. They have got grandchildren. I swear I will not. I will not. Let them feed. Let them feed. Let me tell you the truth. Let them feed those who wanted them jailed. But me, I'm not going to say I need to see you. I've never picked a phone to say I want to see somebody. Never. Never. And I will not do it. I will not do it. If the worst comes to the worst, we call it a day. I will not do it. I did my best. I went and stole documents. I did my best for this guy. I did it. What am I going through? Molestation. I stopped Professor, have him open from being brought as a witness, understand? Did someone give me money to go to South Africa? I used my money to go to South Africa to collect from the South African intelligence. Do they know who is the chief of intelligence of South Africa? It's me who knows. How I got that information to take it to the ICC. Then mtu anakuja kuzungumizia mchana in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon. Matanga, foreigner my foot. This world changes. You could be a foreigner also. Did Bashir know he could be a foreigner?
He's not yet a foreigner, is he now?
No, did he know he would lose power? What did I tell him in 2016? In 2017, when I visited Khartoum, I told him, you are in trouble. We sat on the same chair, and the Deputy Chief Justice Mwiru, you are a witness. Tell Kenyans what you are sitting 5 chairs away from me. I was seated with Bashir, Dr. Ojwang of Northern University. Tell Kenyans what I told Bashir. When he told me that the French wagwan, I was eating my dinner, nice dinner, rice with mutton, very nice. When I heard the word French are doing the roads and the railway in Khartoum, my fork fell. In the name of God, my fork fell from my hands. I looked at the President Bashir, I said, what? Matanga, you know I don't fear. I told Your Excellency, you said the French. Did you know that the French are the owners of ICC? Hey? I said, all along, your team of lawyers have never told you that the French own 70% of the ICC. That's why they cannot touch Cameroon, Biya, they cannot take him there. How many people is it? Okay. How many people is Biya killing?
In Ambazonia.
In Ambazonia.
It's a lot.
Biya is killing, as we talk now, is shelling people, killing them. But because the French own ICC, they cannot take him to ICC. Bashir was shocked. He called the Minister of Security to have a further meeting with me. And they came and sat there. I said, you never told the president that the ICC is owned by George Soros and the French. I said, you have brought the French in Khartoum. Oh, it won't take long. Where are we now? Where are we now? Look at the demonstrations in Khartoum. They are well-organized demonstrations. Look at the demonstrations in Khartoum. Well-supplied, logistically organized, up to time. You know, they are now even saying we need more. They are confident because the backup position is very clear. The money came from Jamena, from Chad, passed through Darfur, arrived in Khartoum, to civil society, buying water, maintaining people's allowances, shops, everything. Money is there in Khartoum. And African leaders are watching. Anybody in African intelligence, watch, sleep, talk. Please check your backgrounds. We have many here already. We have many in Algeria. We have many in Sudan. We have many in Zimbabwe. We have many in Kenya. We have many in Uganda. They are everywhere now. Because people have money which they want to use. George Soros has more money than any government in the world. He made his money. That's why Russians want him on a warrant. He cheated Russians. He took Coca-Cola there, sold. So the guy made money. So you must be careful if you are in government at the moment. Watch out these signs. They are everywhere. And don't just underrate what we are talking. So when you look at all this, you will see people don't listen. The ICC was made by the same people. America distanced itself. It left its brothers there, the king. British and the French and the Scandinavian countries. They are the main supporters. Germany. Germany has built a very good prison in the middle of the Hague for Africans. This prison has been built for Africans. Bring me to the next topic. Which way, Mother Africa?
Just before which way, Mother Africa, maybe some of the comments from our viewers will get us there. Thank you so much for writing to us this morning. Chol Makor, Paul Kagi, Nelson Judy Alafu, you're saying watching us from Tokyo. Indeed, thank you so much. And okay, Mary, you're watching us all the way from South Korea, Seoul. I think you're watching us from South Korea. Thank you so much. And Chol Makoro, you're asking, is Sudan Bashir going to attend ICC for the war crimes committed in Darfur? Yesterday, he must have missed the show yesterday because we had an update, and the army, the person in charge right now, they made it very categorical. They have no intentions of handing over Bashir to the ICC.
Just answer him.
Yes.
That Miriam has answered you. They will not hand over Bashir to the ICC. If you want me to tell you more, just watch in the next step. Which way, Mother Africa? And that's the next topic. And do we take a briefer or?
Yes, indeed. And Michael Gruns, you're watching us all the way from Germany. Guten Morgen to you. And Chol Macro, you're still asking, is Dr. Riek Machar going to go back to Khartoum with the absence of Sudan President Bashir? We're not sure about that. But what we know for now, Machar gave an interview on Friday, and he said, the peace deal that was supposed to happen, the deadline was on 12th May next month. He's saying now they need an extension of 6 months, and I think they're in agreement, 6 months, and I think they're in agreement together with South Sudan President Salva Kiir, and so they need an extension. So that is that. He's still in Rome, I believe. We're not sure if he'll head back to Khartoum with the events that are happening there right now. So that is that. So we take a short break, and when we come back, which way, Mother Africa? Dr. Matanga will help us really go through this very big question and some of these answers in regards to the events that have been happening latest in Africa that really require a lot of thinking and is leaving a lot of places with anxiety. So please don't go too far. Good morning, Africa. I'll be right back.
We discuss Africa. We see what ails Africa. And today, this afternoon, we want to see whether Sudan will permanently remain a sick child of Africa. Is it a permanent sickness? Can we resolve the issues of Southern Sudan? Is it something that has gone wrong for 200 years? There has always been a problem in Southern Sudan, in that great region, starting from all the way the Alimadi Wars and the rest of all what happened until today. Peace seems to be elusive. Why has UN taken slow action? Why hasn't UN set up a tribunal? We want to see a tribunal that will make sure that Southern Sudan people are accountable. Those who committed crimes against human beings. 20,000 Sudanese perished. They are perished. They are not accountable. Nobody can account for them. And we cannot sit here, go on hammering peace agreements without mechanisms of accountability. If we set a tribunal for Sierra Leone, for Rwanda, for Camera Rouge, we need somebody to stand up for the poor masses, the masses that have died, the masses that continue to die, the masses that are being brutalized, murdered, maimed on a daily basis by marauding armies of both Riek Machar and Salva Kiir. There must be an accountability. You are not going to sit here and tell people there is no accountability in South Sudan. There must be a tribunal. Why do we run to harass countries of Kenya, put ICC on Kenya, put ICC on this country, put ICC on Central African Republic? Why have we delayed on putting a tribunal for Southern Sudan to find out who is killing, who has been killing, how they have been killing people? Let me speak to the people in Southern Sudan, the women, the children who have not gone to school, the children who have no medicine, the children who have nothing, who have been running since 2013, and the war cannot end because of two people. Let them face the tribunal. I'm not going to keep quiet as a Pan-African to see Southern Sudan being maimed, being tortured, being cut, dismembered, and we keep quiet and watch people got images of people, of malcontents singing to us in Uganda, in Kenya, in Ethiopia, in South Africa, telling us they have money. Let them face the international tribunal and tell the tribunal who gave them the guns, where they buying them, how they were killing people. Enough is enough. Enough is enough for Africa. We have had enough. There is no need of that anymore. Enough is enough. And if people have died, they will not cry. We people who are left on planet Earth must cry for them. We must find justice for them. We must make sure that there are leaders who go on bragging on television stations all over the world, who are accountable. They must be behind bars. Good afternoon, viewers. Welcome. Good morning, wherever you are in Africa and other places. This is the Diaspora Dispatches, brought to you by Punchline Africa, the only station in Africa that talks, involves, and brings news from Africa, defends Africa. Let's cross over straight to our correspondent in Khartoum, Dr. Ali Mukhtar,
yes, indeed.
Our correspondent from Khartoum, who is online live from Khartoum to give us an insight of what is taking place there in Khartoum. We want to see our correspondent. Let's cross over to Khartoum, Sudan. We would like to take only 3 minutes. Good morning.
Yes.
Is it afternoon?
It's afternoon there.
Good afternoon, Khartoum.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mathanga. Good afternoon, Punchlines Africa.
Thank you very much, sir. We want to steal 3 minutes of your time. In summary, what is the situation on the streets
of Khartoum?
Yeah, the situation is still as yesterday evening. This morning only, the army has come to the public command area, so that they want to pass by, and then the people stood firm that they are not going to move out from there, so until they have seen all the demands has been met for them. So there's many decisions has been made, many decrees has been made, and the meetings are still going on, and they have now formed a new command for the army, the new chief of staff for the joint command, and these are the new faces that has come up now.
When you look at General Doklo, he's second in command. The decision not to take Bashir to the ICC, how does it resonate with the public? Isn't it?
Yeah, the public, even they are not talking about taking him to the ICC. They are talking about being taken to court in the country. This is the demand from the public. They want to see all those who have committed atrocities during the 30 years, the officials from the from the NCP Congress Party. So these are the people who are going to be taken, and their decision has come this morning, and the decree, they have to get them wherever they are, whether inside or they have flew out from the country. They have to be brought back to the justice. So that is a great things, and they have released all the political activists and those who have been arrested a long time ago and have been charged for involving in activities against the regime government.
Dr. Ali Mukhtar, the international community seems to be warming up to the new military council. Is that true?
Yeah, that is true, because there is even the Troika has blessed the military council, but they have said they have to engage the public, they have to engage the civilian to form the government that has joined together with the military council, so that they cannot be seen like the same group. They have to be different this time. So to implement all the demands of the public, because the changes and then having that military council came because of the demand of the public and demand of the people.
This morning, the military council has said the civil society, the political parties, and other opposition should bring a name of the prime minister. You think this is visible, given the tone apart, society?
There is many proposals happening from the political parties, but this is not the case now. The demand is that somebody who's a neutral that we brought there is not going to be one party to take the lead. So they are bringing somebody neutral that can work for all parties, so the parties can prepare themselves for the election in this two years interim period.
Given the 30 years of existence in power, is there anybody neutral?
Yeah, this is what they are demanding now, because if you give any one of the parties, that is mean that you are favoring one party. So that is why it's coming from the public, it's coming from the people who have started the uprising, that they want to see somebody who is neutral that will take the lead this time. And parties can be part of the ministries as a civilians government.
All right, Doctor.
There's a question from Miriam.
Yes.
She wants to steal 1 minute of mine.
All right. Good afternoon to you.
Yes, Miriam, you're welcome.
I hope Khartoum is a bit calmer today, is it?
Come again, because the voice
I'm
is
just saying,
cutting.
I hope that Khartoum is a bit calmer today compared to the last few days.
Yeah, it's calm. It's not only Khartoum, it's calm. All over is calm. Just people are just still staying to wait for the demand to be met. So, but it's still calm. People are still celebrating, and people are still with the slogan that they want to see a change, a total change. So they don't want to see the same faces of the regime, and they are still demanding people who are being appointed in this new council to be removed, because they were part of the old system who have involved themselves in the atrocities of people. So this is what is happening, but it's calm now. It's calm now.
All right, just one thing that I would maybe our viewers also out there would want for you to confirm to us. Where is the whereabouts of former President Omar al-Bashir? Can you confirm that to us? Where is he being held, and is he still in the country?
It's confirmed. It's confirmed. We have information. We have got information from the sources, even from the new command leaders of the military council. He is inside. He's not outside. He's inside under house arrest.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
thank you very much. We have one question for you on South Sudan. Since you are from the larger Sudan, we want to know, where does this put the peace process?
So the question is good. Now, South Sudan until now have never said anything about a new government that has come up. They have not even blessed the new government that has come up, and this is the concern. This is the concern now. But the new government is still preparing, doing all the process, the necessary process, and then after that, they will be turning to see all the internal and external situation, that how to calm down and how they can engage. So this is what is happening. But South Sudan is still now silent, no words.
And just before you ask that, now that you brought in South Sudan,
Yes.
Machar gave an interview on Friday and he said the peace process would be extended to 6 months. You know, the unity government was supposed to, the deadline was supposed to be on 12th May, but now Machar, after the spiritual retreat at Vatican, they're now saying they'll require another 6 months to put structures in place for the unity government and for the peace deal to really take place. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, he has given this statement even during the time they were all in Vatican after the kissing of their feet. So he has given this statement. This statement is not new. He has made this statement before he left the Khartoum to Vatican that this the government that is not going to be formed in 12th of May, because that was the deadline to form the new transitional government of the national unity. But he said because the security arrangement has not been done, the army has not been integrated, they have not been trained, so that there has to form a national army, and the security has to be restructured so that the implementation will be in its place. So that is why he refused not even to go. He refused not even to go down onto Juba now until the security has to be arranged according to the agreement and the signing agreement from the articles.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ali Mukhtar from Khartoum. Take care, my brother. Until today, 6 o'clock, we have Matanga Africa Perspective. Get all your notes ready to brief the entire world. It will be a show of all the shows, master shows for you. And we talk about all the happenings at 6 p.m., which is exactly 6 also in Khartoum. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. It will be 5 in Khartoum. It will be 5 o'clock in Khartoum. Thank you, Dr. Masanga.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
No, it's 6 o'clock. It's the same. You are talking about Cairo. You know, you have woken up this morning. Cairo will be the same. Ethiopia is the same. It's Cairo. Dr. Ali Mukhtar. 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock in Nairobi. 6 o'clock in Khartoum.
Thank you.
They are the same time. Only when you fly above the Tropic of Cancer, and then when you meet another change of time in Cairo.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
sorry. Thank you, our correspondent, dear correspondent. You have been there for us. Thank you very much. God bless you. Stay well. Look after yourself. Now that General Duglo is in town, you don't need to worry much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's also a good thing that sort of calm has returned in the streets of Khartoum, and
yes.
I think slowly business will resume as usual. I think they're quite happy with the general, as it is, the protesters, so hopefully... And he's been dancing to their tune, so I think that is working very well. Maybe strategic, maybe, you know. So that is that.
So it brings us to the last approach. Tell me to do what I am supposed to do. The way which, ask the question, let's do it quickly ourselves and finish. Yes.
Which way, and maybe our viewers are wondering, what is this nicely put in the wonderful velvety box?
Our viewers, thank you very much. This is the last segment of our show, Which Way, Mother Africa. As you can see from the map, from the award and from this equipment in front of you, I want to symbolize one great thing, that for everything that in the world that happens, there is always something very good that takes place or has taken place. This award here that you see in front of you in a red box and the symbol of Africa, and it is an award that was awarded to me by President, by the people, and the 54 Chief Justices of Africa, by the late Chief Justice and the President, the former President, Ali Bashir, in Khartoum. This was my award. I was honored, given this award in the presence of over 54 serious chief justices, ministers of justice, for my struggle and my determination to make sure that I get rid of injustices on the continent. My defense for Africa, my defense for the people of Africa, and me this one. And the badge that you see on my lapel. This one was a special present from President Bashir as a Pan-African gesture. And I believe the Chief Justice of Kenya, the former, the Deputy Chief Justice, Justice Mwiru, also has the same. Not every category was given, only this category was given to special people. In front of hundreds and hundreds of people, awarded from Khartoum. So this is a symbol of Pan-Africanism, a symbol of the struggle that I've struggled for this continent, a symbol that came from a Pan-African president. And this Pan-African president might have been overthrown. Call him all the names that you want. But Bashir had a Pan-African spirit. Bashir has modeled Africa in so many ways. There are so many conferences that Sudan sponsored when on Pan-Africanism. Sudan used to pay in advance. Sudan used to make sure that these conferences come to their capital to host them. They have conferences halls. They said there was no need. Part of the problem why Sudan and Ethiopia had a quarrel was because Sudan said the corridor of Africa started in Khartoum, but not Ethiopia. And it has been there for a long time. So it wanted to take the headquarters of African Union seriously. They wanted it to be in Khartoum. Said it is where everybody, if you look at Buhari, he's called Jubilee. It's from Sudan. Chad, Dabris is from Sudan. The Luo are from Sudan.
Hold on, Buhari is Jibril. Jibril is the clone.
I don't know. They say there is cloned man from Sudan.
It's the clone,
so this is my award given, and it is written towards a unified African justice. Thank you very much, former President Bashir, the late Chief Justice of Sudan, and the other 53 Chief Justices who were present, who awarded me this good gesture. I want to thank everybody that this is the type of award a man with a heart like me, a volunteer, will be very happy. I'm not looking for your money. I'm looking for such remembrance, such gestures that I can put in my house and I remember that I stood for Africa and I was awarded. I filed a case against the ICC for the indictment of Mr. Bashir wrongly when ICC got $17 million to indict Bashir. And you can see even the government that has taken power in Sudan will not accept to hand over President Omar Bashir to the ICC because the indictment of the people of South Sudan, of Sudan, was selective. They selected the people they wanted to go to The Hague. If you are to indict Bashir, you must indict Jema, another rebel group that was fighting Janjaweed. So the indictment, which I queried, the type of looking for evidence in South Sudan, in Sudan, is what made me to go into the ICC chamber, to file in chamber number 5 of the ICC a case against the presiding judge and the former prosecutor for having done the Sudan case wrongly. If I'm not wrong, there will be no trial in the ICC of Bashir. The trial, the Sudanese, whether the military today, whether the civilian tomorrow, they will not hand over Bashir to the ICC. Because everybody has found out that the ICC today, my topic of which way Africa, the ICC is segregative. The ICC does not want to arrest Biya. Paul Biya has killed many people, more than the people that died in Kenya. Thousands and thousands of Amazonians have been slaughtered, more than those who have died in this country. But they came to this country and they left Paul Biya. It shows to you that there is no justice in International Criminal Court. The justice that is there for is for a black man. There is no justice. The court is for taking the black man down, lock him in the cold winter, remove him from his people.
And I think Chol Makor, one of our viewers here, is asking, why is it only African leaders go to trial by ICC, which was founded by Kofi Annan, but not Asian or American president attending ICC? So I think one of our viewers, or some of our viewers, are agreeing with that. But also, Poka Rob Otto is disagreeing with you when
he can disagree, but these are my positions. Yes, read what he has disagreed about.
And he's saying there's nothing good about Bashir and his government. You can say all good things about him because you have no experience of the pains he inflicted in South Sudanese, the great people of the Nuba, Kordofan, and Darfur. So
I want to say to Mr. Opoka Odrop Oto that what have you also inflicted, you black South Sudanese, yourself, the ones who got independence, what have you inflicted on your own people? If you compare the crimes,
there's no difference.
There's no difference.
Maybe a lot of people died then, but still, it's the
they are dying. They are even in a worse condition than they were in the whole of Sudan. At least they will not be dying of hunger. Bashir used to make food and deliver food in Juba. Let me tell you, this man is wrong. Bashir used to deliver food down in hunger-stricken. Did you ever hear of Sudan calling for relief food? Ethiopia called for relief food. Sudan has never called for relief food. Never. Until they separated with South Sudan is when they started calling for relief food. The North Khartoum was doing everything, digging for these guys in the South because they like only walking to drink. You know, that's the truth. They are like South Africans. South Africans are lazy. Hey, I'm telling you the truth now. There was no hunger, no famine, no relief supplies to Sudan when it was Sudan fighting each other. Even when Khartoum was controlling South Sudan, there was enough food for all the citizens in all those states to eat. There was war and suffering, yes. There was killing, yes, but there was no hunger. Today, tell me what Riek Machar and Salva Kiir have done to their own people.
They've made the situation worse.
They have killed their own people. So there is a point which way Mother Africa.
Yes.
The Mother Africa today, my point, why I brought up that topic.
Yes.
America on Friday issued a statement saying, no, the ICC on Friday made a ruling saying Africa, saying they will not investigate America at all. It put the last nail in the coffin of what I have been saying as Dr. Matsanga. From the year 2005 to today, remember the first group of people to be indicted by the ICC are the Luos from Acholiland in northern Uganda. The Luos equivalent to the Luo of Kenya. These were the people indicted by the ICC. I disagreed with the method that the indictment were dished out. And I want you people to know why I continued to disagree with ICC, not knowing that it was going to dismember Kenya. So anybody thinking and underrating me, not knowing that I was first in Uganda, I saw how bad ICC was. Anybody doing that must be a derailed mind, incompetent mind like a Maraga. So, when I saw that, when I saw Campo coming here, I warned the Kenyans, and it has come to pass. To cut the long story short, we are at a cul-de-sac. America is leaving. The foreign affairs ministers in Africa, all of them, are still saying, we shall engage, we shall engage, we shall engage. Let me advise today, and I will not repeat it. It will only be today. Leo, if Kenya does not pack and ship, and I repeat, if Kenya does not pack and ship as early as now, as long as this dented ICC remains injured, they will resist. So let them resist and find us when we are out. I'm just giving Africa a very clear, straightforward. We are 34 countries. Let's just pack and leave. Let's pack and leave. Let's concentrate on forming our local court, international court, an African court. Let's pay money, set up the structures, leave justice, that an African who makes mistakes on this continent is taken to that court. Let's forget thinking of working with International Criminal Court. It is gone. It has no salt. The salt is finished. As long as you keep on waiting there, I bet they will come for you. Those people will come for you. Besuda, remember, Besuda is leaving. Can't you ask yourself, why haven't they gone to arrest Paul Robia? Why haven't they gone to arrest Buhari? Boko Haram leader is known. There is no single warrant on Boko Haram leader. Yet there was a single warrant on LRA leader. Have you seen? There is no single warrant on Al-Shabaab leader. We know. Al-Shabaab leaders are known. At least if you put a warrant on them, they will actually fear. But now if there is no warrant, they come and shoot everybody, kidnap people, and go. As long as the ICC remains the way it is, it will come back to haunt these countries. Pack and ship and Article 127 of the Roma Statute. Call it a day. Let Africa stand on its own, form a court that can go and fight for human rights in Amazonia. There's nobody fighting for human rights in Amazonia. Nobody is threatening to arrest Biya from the African continent. No president is making a motion to secure people. Yet we have refugees in Kenya. We should ask President Uhuru Kenyatta to ask President Biya what is happening to his country, that there are so many refugees from Cameroon filling the streets of Nairobi. What's the problem? We better start a discussion. What is the problem? Because Africa has never bothered to be Africa. Africa bothers to look at others for examples. We wait for examples to come. No African is honored. So I want to thank Bashir for this. May God hold you wherever you will be and where you will go. But you gave me a honor in Khartoum, and I thank you all, the commanders who have taken over in Khartoum, that together we stand justice must be felt, and not justice felt outside the country. Long live Africa, long live Pan-Africanism, long live Punchline Africa.
All right, and we're just going to end it there. I don't think we need to water down that.
Thank you very much. That cannot be watered down.
Yes.
But there was something that I was requested by one person to put it on. Stephen, I sent you something so that we don't water it down. The boss has directed that we shouldn't order it down. I've sent something there. About the judiciary. I don't know whether it can form a ring of our discussion this afternoon. What do you think?
I've not seen it, so I'm not
Leave it about the ring of buying children.
Ah, yes.
Can we leave it until the afternoon in how the judges allowed the people to take the children, kumbe they were ending up in Eastern Europe.
And their organs are ending up in the black market.
Exactly.
I watched that news and I was shattered.
So there you are.
Yes.
It is again the judiciary. Yes. So let's bring it in the afternoon. Oh, it has come here. Children on sale. That is it. But Miriam, we shall deal with that topic in the afternoon, not to water down what has been said. All right. Thank you very much, viewers. God bless you. I take back my present and I keep it safely. Safely. Miriam has told me to catch it safe.
All right, and that has been a Good Morning Africa show coming to you all the way. That's beautiful. And
yes.
I love the velvet.
Yes. This is mine.
Yes.
It's mine for the good work that I've done for Africa. Thank you very much. And thank you for encouraging me for doing what I have done. This station, therefore, is for Africa, with Miriam. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's catch up later.